Good evening. Welcome to Grubby Talk, y'all. My name is Brian Spray. I am your host of Grubby Talk. Hey, we're doing this a little bit different than normal. We're broadcasting to an event on the KBF page, and that's kind of getting broadcast to wherever we've shared that. So we've got lots of people joining us from KBF. We've got people joining us from GRBY. By the way, that's who we are. Grubby Talk. We are the voice of grassroots bass yakking, a group of guys that are really, that's what it's about. We're at the grassroots, which is a bunch of guys, bunch of girls that like to get together and go fishing. And sometimes we compete in kayak fishing tournaments. And that's what we love about this sport. And we get together every week and just kind of talk about that and talk about our world. And I've got a special guest joining us today. But before I bring him on real quick, I want to mention that our overlay here, our look may be just a tad bit different. You'll notice upcoming events over there on the left-hand side. That's not all that far away, y'all. Our first tournaments for GRBY are coming up in March. The 18th looks like. We're just about 2 months out from that. So we're going to kind of keep that refreshed and keep those kind of tournaments on your schedule, on your radar, because eventually they'll be on Tourney X, and then we'll be live and start fishing before you know it. I know it's cold. I know there's snow out there. I know there's ice out there. Yeah, a lot of my buddies I see on Facebook are out fishing already. So I can't imagine going out in the temperatures that I have up here in northern Indiana. And I imagine where our guest is, though, that it's probably beautiful. Everybody's out fishing. It's wonderful. Our guest today is Trey Kistler from Kistler Rods. Hi, Trey.
Hey, Brian. Excited to be here. Look forward to talking with your anglers and getting questions and maybe some advice from them about what you want to see in a rod.
Absolutely. We're going to do that. I am excited about the weather for you guys. It's like 70 and beautiful where you're at, right?
Yeah, it was yesterday, but now
Oh,
I've got maybe 5 inches of snow on the ground, which is unheard of. I'm looking out the window at this beautiful scenery that we never get to witness in Texas. Well, anyway, South Texas anyway. But just enjoying it. It's beautiful outside. My electricity went out, and luckily I had a generator cut on. So we're good to go. Looking forward to talking.
oh, wow. Your electricity is gone, yet you were able to join us on the air. So 5 inches of snow blows out your electricity in Texas?
Well, it wasn't. Maybe it was 2 inches before it blew out. So yeah, who knows? Maybe a tree limb fell down or something. But
uh,
got fire going, and we're gonna be good.
Yeah, I love the fire in the background. That's awesome. I wish I had one in my little room here, but I don't. But we're up here in northern Indiana where it's usually between now and April. It's about what we get 30, 25, 20 degrees, sometimes below zero. But we're in about that 25 to 30 degree weather right now. So we've got some pond water with ice on it. You probably have no idea what ice fishing is in Texas, right?
No, never want to try it either.
I bet. Well, I am so excited about having you on. I have actually been. You might. I don't know if you noticed. I'm sucking up to the teacher here
Yeah.
and wearing my Kistler swag. I even went so far as to bring this rod up.
Yeah, old magnesium.
Yeah, an old magnesium. You can tell I've used it quite a bit. The handle on there is getting kind of dirty, but that's one of my favorite rods. Now, my story with that rod is I used it all season this past season and was loved it, but for some reason I didn't really appreciate how good of a rod it was until I was in our GRBY championship, which was actually the first tournament where I decided to show up and do anything. And I did pretty good. I was in the top 10, but that last morning where I did really well, I was noticing I was Ned rigging with it, and the sensitivity on that rod was incredible. How compared to all my other rods? So I'm coming through weeds, I'm hitting rocks, and I can tell exactly what I'm hitting and when I'm hitting it. How do you do that? How do you make that happen in a rod?
Well, the engineers that design the graphite and the materials that make that carbon typically know what they're doing better than I do. But it's how you run the fibers vertically instead of horizontally along that blank, which makes a difference in a lower end rod that runs them horizontal. So it transmits that vibration a whole lot better. Different materials, less resin. There's a whole scientific formula that I don't really get into. I'll let those guys worry about. I'm just a rod designer and a bass fisherman at heart, and I know what my customer wants in that. So glad you.
Start there for me on your story. You said you're a bass fisherman at heart, so that's what's got you into this. I love that. So obviously, these rods are designed by someone who loves what we love doing, which is bass fishing. Tell us about the Kistler story. How'd you get into this? How'd you end up designing rods, and how'd you get started?
Well, if I go all the way back, I don't know how much time we have, but
Yeah, we got all night. We're good.
I, I started loving to bass fish when I was around 8 years old, and got the bug when a bass hit a topwater jitterbug. As a matter of fact, 2 casts in a row, I caught 2 3-pound bass. So I fell in love with bass fishing at an early age, and just did it every day after school. Instead of doing my homework, I'd go to the nearest lake, maybe sneak into somebody's private lake, and just play fishing. And so all the way through high school, my dad, he actually was in the oil field business, and it kind of tanked in the I guess it was the late 80s, and he joined his buddy making fishing rods, and that was All Star Rods.
Okay.
So they built that business together, and I went off to the military after high school in the Army, and came back, and he had started another rod company with some investors called Castaway. My dad Billy built a really good business for, I don't know, it was around 10 years. I went to work with him for about 6 years at Castaway. So I skipped college and went right from Army to fishing rods, and learned a little bit there, customer service, and how to build rods, and and then I decided to leave. I decided to seek other ventures, and later on, my dad ended up retiring, and so I said, "Hey, I had 4 babies and a wife. I said, I think I can do this on my own." Holding 2 other jobs, I would build rods in the evening in my garage, and so fast forward 22 years. I've been building rods in an enlarged garage, and adding on. We have 4,000 square feet with 10 employees, and just doing what I love, passionate about it, and excited for this 2020. Big things coming. It's not Kistler rods anymore. It's Kistler rod and reels.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. I'm so glad we get to talk about that. As a matter of fact, I think I let the cat out of the bag a little bit ago.
Oh yeah.
I posted a video earlier that you may be donating a reel for us to give away, because and these are the brand new reels that are coming to your line that haven't even been released yet, right?
Sir, we pre-sold them for a couple months.
Okay.
They're shipping in from our factory in Korea in 2 weeks. So they'll be here 1st of February. We have a Series 1 and a Series 2. Both of them are amazing, high quality, super lightweight, smooth, beautiful, handsome reels that guys are just going to just love. Right-handed, left-handed. Super excited about it. Now we can help a guy into a rod and a reel. So, especially the novice and the beginners, or the guy who really doesn't know what he needs.
Yeah.
I hate for him to leave with a rod and go somewhere and not know what to buy as far as a reel, because I want him to have success. And so now I get to give him or sell him a reel that's going to match his rod and work for him.
All right, so this old magnesium, I've just got a 1-3 reel on there right now. But this old magnesium, what reel are you gonna want me to put on this so I can get the best combo out of this?
We are our Series 1 spinning reel. It's a size 2,000. We're calling it. So it's pretty versatile for all bass fishing. You know, not too big, not too small. Good line capacity. The spinning reels, though, Brian, are not coming out until May. We have
May. Okay.
more research and development on those, but the bait casters will be coming out in 2 weeks. So you'll have,
I'm
sorry.
No, I myself am just getting into bait casting reels. I've got a couple, so I really am excited about you coming out with those, and because I'm starting to actually know how to use them. It took me forever, but I'm starting to figure it out so that I don't get a bird's nest every time. But so tell us a little bit about the bait casters. You said there's two different lines.
There's a $150 Series 2. It's matte black. It's beautiful. And then there's a Series 1 that's a $250. All the bells and whistles, carbon handle. It just features that will help the guy catch more fish and have less problems. A funny story. I've been fishing. What was it? I guess, yeah, 41 years. Right. And so when you do something for so long, you think you know it all. You don't have to learn. Or me, I'm talking about me, but I think
Right.
and so why would I go learn how to use a bait caster when I already know how to use one?
Yeah, that was me.
Started getting into reels. I'm like, man, I have to learn the ins and outs, the engineering, and how centrifugal brakes work, how the spool tension works, to help a guy tune his reel. And so I got on the internet. I'm not a big YouTuber. I never learn anything on YouTube because I don't think about going to it. But I did in this instance, and man, I learned a lot. I learned a ton, and now I can tune a reel and cast a mile without backlashes. It's a beautiful thing. So I encourage all my customers to suck up their pride and say they don't know it all, and get on YouTube and learn something from somebody else. Even if you've been fishing 50 years, you don't know it all until you've learned some things. So, neat story.
YouTube is the only way I've been able to learn anything about fishing. I thought I grew up just catfishing from the bank, and not until I got into my first kayak a year and a half, 2 years ago, did I realize I know nothing about fishing. I know nothing about this thing I love, and so YouTube has been a big help for me. And yeah, I think that's what it is. I want to ask. We're going to give away a reel here in a little bit, but I want to ask you before we do that about kayak fishing. Now, Grassroots Bass Yakin is, of course, a kayak organization. You're associated with us because I think you've got a relationship with Jim Strunk, the granddaddy of I actually he's the godfather. We call him the godfather of GRBY. Tell us a little bit about that relationship. Have you ever kayak fished?
I have.
Okay.
Back in I think it was 2000, maybe 14. I bought a new canoe.
Okay.
And I had sold my bass boats. I'd had like 6 bass boats, and I sold it, and I needed to get back into fishing inexpensively. And so I bought a new canoe and started fishing. And man, I enjoyed the slow pace. You got to stick around one spot and figure them out and make them bite. And it seemed like I caught more fish, bigger fish, in less amount of time. So I enjoyed that. And then I got into fishing the tournaments. I went out and bought a Hobie, I guess the Pro Angler.
The PA.
Yeah, and I've joined CATS, big organization here in Texas, and started fishing the tournaments. And man, them guys can fish. I thought I had them figured out, because I've been fishing for 8 years. But they humbled me, and man, I didn't have to pay for rods, right? So I had 12, 15 rods hanging off every different direction. And I finally said, man, I can't take friends and customers, and so I'm just going to buy a boat. And so I kind of got away from kayak fishing. But Jim's a great guy. I love him to death. We've been sponsoring Grubby a little bit here, and he Facebook messaged me in August, and he was talking about everything going on and the success and the growth plans, and he wanted to know if I would donate or sponsor more tournaments. He said this, and he said, I honestly believe Kistler rods aren't the best. And his big, his big fingers, his big
Uh-huh.
fat.
I get the craziest text from Jim all the time, and I thought I had big thumbs.
Like, the best. What sponsored. So anyway, I later answered him. So we're looking forward to doing a. Hopefully, if we can put it together. It's hard to cover all our bases on a contingency program for all the members,
Mm-hmm.
fishermen. So if they buy a rod in 2021, and then they do good in the top 5, and they own a new Kistler rod, they win $50. So if we can encourage Jim to put that all into writing and figure out all the ins and outs of testing it and making sure it's run smoothly, you guys will be making some money from Kistler. And I'll be happy to write the checks too.
I'm excited. I got a chance to maybe win something. The running joke on my show here is that I didn't win any tournaments this year, and I was in the GRBY championship. Finally,
All right.
did really well. Had a chance. I was in all day. The final day, I was in the top first, second, third, fourth, kind of moving up and down. Guys were chasing me. Ended up in 6th place, 1 spot out of the money. So I have yet to win any money for GRBY. So
that's okay. It makes you want it more, and it'll be sweeter when you do. You'll cry one. Have a little.
One of these days. I tell you, with my Kistler rod, I know I've got a chance because I'm telling you, the sensitivity on that thing is great. All right, speaking of Kistler, we talked about the reels. What are we going to give away today? Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay.
What reel are we giving away? A reel, or what are we giving away?
Okay, let's give away one of our most. I'll tell you what, everybody, when they see the prototypes of the Series 2, the matte black, man, they like that one. And it's just as sweet as the Series 1. So let's give away a right-handed or left-handed. The guy can choose. Size 200, Series 2 baitcaster. Okay. 7.3 to the gear ratio is 7.3 to 1, which is pretty much everybody's favorite. It's $150 retail. I think it's worth more, but let's give one of those away.
That's beautiful. All right. So I'm putting up a phone number right now, and I'm going to have you guys text me. We have about 50 people watching at the moment live, so y'all got a chance. So Trey, pick a number for me. Let's say between 1 and 25. Yeah, pick a number between 1 and 25.
So how are you going to pick the number? How are you doing?
I want you to pick the number, and then I'm going to whichever whatever number you pick. I'll that person has to text me.
All right. 1.
Oh, really? All right, here we go. So texter number 1 gets to win. First person that texts me, I got to pull up my program here and see who that's going to be. Text me your name. First person that texts me your name at this number. What'd you say, Trey?
Fastest texter wins.
Fastest texter wins. First person to text your name. And oh my goodness.
Don't say it's Jim.
It's not Jim, but it is a buddy. It's somebody I know. Oh man, they are coming in like crazy right now too.
But we'll do another one, Brian. We'll do another. Tell them to keep
to keep going. Okay, so let me announce the winner for the first one.
Okay,
and that's going to be Scott Knoll.
All right.
Who's a buddy of mine, and again, no cheating here. You know what? Almost everybody on this show is a buddy of mine. So I keep saying we're not cheating. We're not cheating. We're really not. All right. So Scott Knoll's the winner. All right. You want to give another one away?
I do, but let's let more people text, and then we'll come back to it.
Okay. Let more people text, and then we'll come back and do that. Okay. So remind me we want to do that in a few minutes. All right. I'm going to
change the plan there. It threw you off a little bit, didn't I?
It did. Hey, we figured it out. All right. So Scott Knoll, do you how are you you just want them to connect with you on Facebook, or how do you want to do that?
Maybe we could give him my email.
Okay. I'll take care of that when we're done here tonight. So I'm writing down his name.
Tell him we'll have those reels in about 1st of February.
1st of February, we'll get you.
Time for him coming up.
Say that again.
just in time for him to get ready for his tournaments in March.
Yeah, he's it's actually a buddy of mine. He was paying attention to GRBY this whole past season, and he's got a kayak, but he didn't finish any tournaments. And he's been like, I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. And he's going to be joining me in several tournaments this year. So this is what I like about grassroots bass yakking. I mean, it's your buddy down the street. It's somebody you've worked with. It's somebody that maybe lives across the country, but you just know they're a lot like you. They work in a factory. They work a regular job. And what Grassroots Bass Yakking does is we set up our tournament so that everyone has access and can fish a tournament. We're unique in that you get to pick one of 5 days to go fish a tournament. And it really has given access to so many people to be able to do that. So that's what I love about our format. It's unique. It's different. It lets the average kayak guy, whether you're in a little cheap kayak you got from a sporting goods store to, one of those Hobies you were talking about. And I love the American USA connection that we have with our sponsors like Kistler. You guys are all American made, aren't you?
Absolutely. Proud of it.
Tell us a little bit about Kistler's kind of vision for the future. Sounds like reels has been a big thing for growing the vision. What's your vision? What do you see Kistler being someday?
Well, this past year 2020, we our rod line options into more affordable rods. So we have a $150 rod. A lot of times you can get it on sale for $100. We've often been known as the upper premium in rod, $350, $550 rod. And so I want to be able to provide a made in America or crafted in America by our people here affordable rod. And that's very, very hard to find in a production style rod. And it's something I'm passionate about. There's tradesmen out there, electricians and plumbers and welders, like you said, blue collar. And I want to make a trade that you might call rod smith, a rod crafter. I want to be able to make it to where these guys and gals can make good wages doing a craft, doing a trade that they're proud of. And so in 10, 20 years, just the experience they have that they can implement into using their hands into rods, and then they can pass on, maybe like a father passes on a trade to his son or his daughter or her daughter. And so that's really the more exciting part of my future for Kistler is providing careers, jobs that are lifelong, something that they can be proud of when they complete a rod and look how beautiful it is. You wouldn't believe how many emails and phone calls me and my office get about the quality. It's just and a lot of times I get desensitized to it because it's just like another one, just another one. Yeah, I'll print one out every now and then and take it back to the crew in the back, and we'll put it up on the wall for them. Try to keep them fired up over what they're doing for fishermen around the world. So that's a little bit of my vision,
Yeah, I love it. I love that. Would you say that Kistler is kind of a family endeavor? You've got a lot of your family involved in that?
It was family at first. I had my 2-year-old son Cody drilling out cork in 1999 with our first order. My wife just had a baby Kyle in February. She was back there helping, and so yeah, for a long, my 2 girls were helping do things when they were probably 4 and 5 and 6. And then it just kind of grew from there. So my boys have always been involved here and there as they grew up, odd jobs. But right now, it's just me, my wife, and my nephew, Travis. But my son Cody's in the Marines, and he gets out this year in August, and his plan is to go to school, learn business, and come back to work for Kistler Rods and take over.
I don't think you can see the comments. I'm kind of scrolling on my phone through a lot of the comments right now.
Yeah, give me some.
Cody is your son, did you say?
Yeah, Cody is my Marine son that wants to work in the business. So when he
He
gets there, it will be more of a family business.
he posted a few minutes ago. He said, "Hey, Dad, don't choke."
No, oh, no.
Gotta love the kids, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of posting, if anybody's got a question they would like me to ask Trey, I'm kind of keeping an eye out, but we've got a lot of people joining us here tonight.
Questions, Brian? You know, some questions that's interesting.
One of our anglers, actually, this is one of the guys that's always chasing me in tournaments because I always beat him. So I make sure he knows that. We call him MC Hammer, but he said nothing cooler than seeing someone catch a fish on a rod you built. One of my favorite things. So I'm guessing he's maybe built some rods before too, but that's got to be a kind of a cool thing to see all these people here in the country using your rods and catching fish on them, and nice fish.
It really is. Again, I'm kind of desensitized to it. We've got, you know, hundreds of thousands of rods out there, but when we do get an email with a picture of a guy catching it's like he gets a brand new rod, and his first cast he catches his personal best. It's so common, it's weird, and that is rewarding in itself. And maybe when a dad or mom have a custom rod built for their young child, maybe a high school or junior high bass fisherman, put their name on it, and they bring them up to the shop to have me handed to them. As man, that is so cool. So yeah, big time rewarding.
Mr. Strunk is wondering what your personal best fish is that you've ever caught. And let's start with bass. What's your personal best bass? And remember, us kayak anglers, we go by inches. So, do you know?
Well, okay. Here's an interesting story. So I have two, because one of them's kind of cheating. So I went with some friends from Mexico, some nationals. They invited me to Lake Picachos back in May of, God, I think 2014. We were the first ones to get the fish that lake, and they've been stocking it and letting it grow. Anyway, we caught hundreds of fish, but one fish I hooked right away. It got hung on a twig, and so I just pulled myself over while he was flapping on the top. Got him out. He was only maybe 16 inches. I don't know. We didn't measure the length. We put him on the scale, which had kilometers. And then it was kilos. And then I couldn't understand. I couldn't do the. And so later on, he told me what it was. So it was a 12.5 pound fish. It was just this short. It was like that wide. And so it was short.
Wow. Must have had a heck of a belly on it.
The mouth was only a few inches across, maybe 4 inches. So he was so wide. Now, the one I really claim was in my home lake, Lake Conroe. You know, lake of the known for big bass in the spring. I was fishing with a friend, testing out the new KLX rod in September, and I threw a little trick worm over there that I was playing with, a hand pour from Paul Crew, and I felt this tick, and I said, "Oh, that feels like a fish." So I reeled up, kind of leaned into him because it was a small hook, and man, that fish swam by. I thought it was a carp.
Huh.
Anyway, I backed off the drag and fought him. She jumped maybe 3-4 times. Seemed like 2-minute fight. And my buddy lipped him. And I put him on my scale, which was always off. It seemed like 10%. So I quickly did the math in my head. That's a 13 pounder. That's a share lunker. So we threw her in a live well and ran her up the lake to a marina that had a scale, a registered scale, certified scale. Set her on the scale, 1107. So I was disappointed.
Yeah.
11 pound, 7-ounce fish. She was huge.
Oh my goodness.
So Cody knows all about this fish because we put her right back where we caught her. The next week there was a big bass tournament, And I said, Cody, we're going to go catch that fish. So we woke up real early that next Friday, probably got out there an hour and a half early in the dark, and just waited until first light, 6:30 or whatever it was. Man, we fished for her for hours and hours and couldn't get a. Of course, he was disappointed because we thought we'd won a boat. Anyway, true story. We left that spot, went other places. Guess what won the tournament?
That fish.
That 1107.
Yeah. Just it wasn't you.
I promise it was 1107.
Oh my.
Pretty neat story.
Yeah, that is a neat story. My neat story is I caught my personal best bass this past season, and I caught it on that Kistler rod right there behind me. And I'm so happy I get to say that. And that thing was huge. I don't know what it weighed, but I know it was 22.75 inches. I just wish I had scales, but almost had my first 23 incher. But man, that was
Huge.
and then on a little Ned rig.
Oh, really?
Little Ned rig on that thing.
I remember when it first came out, I was Ned rigging with my wife, my mom, my friends that couldn't fish, and they were catching fish. It was so awesome.
Yeah. I was going to mention real quick some more comments. Lance Burris saying Kistler's put me on stage last year at the Bassmaster Classic.
Man, we didn't put you on stage. You did
it. He's trying to give you all the credit.
You probably catch fish with Johnny Moore's Bass Pro Shop rods. But hey, thank you, man. We're glad to have you representing Kistler, and I wish you the best this coming season. I'm sure you're going to be a champion one day on the big stage soon.
Adam Cartwright, one of our guys in Grubby, says, Trey, which rod series from Kistler is your favorite?
Yeah, people ask that. The one that makes me the most money.
I was gonna say that would probably be. What about those magnesiums? Have they made you a lot of money through the year, right?
They all have. I make the same margins on them all. They're all real good. Of course, the lighter they are, the more enjoyable they are. So the higher end graphites typically are lighter and more sensitive. So, I like the Z-Bone and the Heliums, the KLXs. Those three pretty equally.
All right. I'm looking through to see if there's any other questions. Lots of comments, lots of people identifying with the lake you were talking about. Okay, so one of our guys saying, I need a dedicated swim bait rod because you help out GRBY. It's what Kistler, I think he's asking what Kistler rod do you suggest for a swim bait rod?
Well, swim baits come in all different weights, but the typical guy is throwing that 5-inch, 6-inch. Man, a 7'3", medium heavy 4-power would get the job done great. Now, if he's fishing a big 6-7 hook, trying to throw it a long ways, get it down deep, then a 7'6", heavy is going to be a whole lot better. I always preach match the rod length and power with the size of that hook, because you have to get that big old giant barb through that bigger fish's jaw, and if you've got a medium heavy, sometimes it just won't do it. He won't even feel that pressure, and you won't get him. So, I mean, a lot of my pros lean towards the heavies or 5-powers on a lot of stuff they do that involve a big hook. So It depends, if it's a small swim bait, you just match it with a medium heavy. 7'3" are great for kayak anglers around the front of the boat. No problem. Our handles aren't too long; they're only 10 inches on the 7'3" rods, so it's not horribly long for a kayaker.
Okay. I know a lot of guys. It kind of varies, but especially in tournaments, you see a lot of kayakers take a lot of rods. Are you an advocate for taking a lot of rods with you, especially if you're in a tournament, so you have all those different choices?
Yeah, I mean, I was a tournament angler once, and like I said, I had 12. I think I had a lot of rods.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can save time, not retying, it definitely would probably help you put one more fish in the boat, because time is money you know.
I
Got to
think
keep.
I think the most I've ever taken on a trip is like 8 or 9, and I feel inadequate. Only taking 8 or 9 sometimes. You see all these guys with 15, 20 rods, and I'm like, wow.
Well, I tell you what, I'm impressed with how a kayak angler can get it done because, coming from a boat with all that tackle space, I didn't like going down to that kayak and only be able to carry, 4 boxes or whatever. That was tough for me. So,
You,
but like I said, it was more peaceful, enjoyable, and made you slow down and forced yourself to catch them with what you got.
and you certainly got to be creative and in a kayak, but they're making them where you can take so much gear with you these days that you should be able to take just about as many rods as you want on a kayak. All right, how about we get to my MC Hammer? He makes a good comment. Too many rods get in the way sometimes, though, which that's happened to me too. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I got too many rods, but yeah, you
Yeah,
do what you do.
if you pre-fished and you know what you're going to do, you only need 6 heavy rods.
Yep.
That's it. You're going to stick with it. So yeah, I agree.
All right, you said we were gonna give away another reel. We gonna do that?
Yeah, I have an old used lose. We can probably give away.
That's great. I would take a lose. I haven't, although I got a feeling the new Kistler reels are a little bit better even than the lose, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to claim anything. I'm just going to say they're great reels. I've always been a lose guy and a Shimano guy, and so I think our reel is kind of a hybrid between the two. So yeah, let's give away another left or right hand, depending on what they want. Two size 200 reel.
Okay, so Series 2, size 200. Is that the same as what we gave away the first time?
Yeah,
All
same
right,
reel.
size 200. All right. And how are we going to give it away this time? You want to pick another number?
Yeah, we can pick another. How many texts did you get, or do you?
Let me see if I can figure that out. Give me 1 second here. Man, a lot. Where did I start? Okay, so I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm about 23 right now is how many I've gotten. We gonna take one of those, or do you want to just start the calls or the texts all over again?
No, we'll go ahead. We'll just do. Let's do 21.
21. All right, let's see where we're at. Oh, let me put I am going to put the number up in case I don't have enough. All right, let's see. I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I've got it. 21 is
Drum roll.
Mr. David Morris is our winner.
Lucky guy.
Lucky guy, David Morris, and he's not one of my buddies. So
Hey,
unless it is a Dave Morris, I know, but I don't think so. I don't think he fishes. All right, so David Morris is our second winner. Scott Knoll and David Morris, congratulations, you guys! You just won. I'm jealous of those prizes. 2 beautiful, brand new reels that nobody. I mean, you certainly you've had people use some of your reels to test them out, maybe some beta testers or something, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, let me tell you about that. 3 years ago, well, 3.5 years ago, I started working with this factory in Korea, and I asked them to let me try 18 reels, and so I got their design and started sending them out to my team guys, whether it be the professionals or an average everyday or on the weekend fisherman. And so they used them for, 3 years until I pulled the trigger. And so the feedback I had from them was outstanding. The reels felt the same as far as smooth and quality, cast the same, no issues. So I was super confident in moving forward with our design. No mechanical changes, more just cosmetic changes and just a few things there that make it our own, and put the order in. And so we're fired up, super confident that our customers are going to enjoy them. So
Yeah.
Scott and Dave are going to love them.
I can't wait to get my hands on one, and I'm definitely going to be putting in an order soon. So I'm excited. A couple more comments. Jim, our godfather, Mr. Strunk, says, "You're awesome, Trey. Thanks for the donation of the reels." Other people are jealous too. They're excited about the reels. How about we ask this question as kind of our final question and wrap up tonight? Eddie Rivera, who's been a new guy to watching Grubby Talk, he says, "What was your biggest business or fishing influence?"
Never been asked that before.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Fishing or business influence. Okay. Well, I tell you what, nobody really, no fishermen are my influence other than guys who give all their glory to God.
Mm.
Business wise, I always looked up to a guy named Gary Loomis, which I know I've heard of. Some of the business decisions he made starting in the 90s that I knew of. And then I got to know him and better in 2000. Well, we bought blanks from him in Castaway and we used his blank, but I started having him make my blanks in 2009. Anyway, just a brilliant man. Some of the business decisions he made, I just copied. I just mimicked what he did in his marketing and his thought pattern, and it's worked, you know. And so now Gary doesn't. He's not involved with G Loomis anymore. He's got another business and a partner, and we still work together. But yeah, great man in the fishing industry. He's done a lot for high end, premium rod market, bring in newer technology that was just flat and dead and pretty lame until Gary got involved. And he did the same thing. He sought out NASA carbon technology specialist and listened to them. And he was a salmon fisherman until he got into bass fishing. But yeah, you know, I could probably sit here and think of some more, but I think a lot of my business model early on was due to Gary's history and how he handled business stuff.
Trey, it's been a pleasure having you on. I want to end by asking you, is there anything else you would like us to know about you and your business, your family, fishing? What do you want us to know before we let you go tonight?
Well, I told you I'm pretty modest. I don't really talk about myself. I like questions more than that. But golly, you know, I always like to let people know I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and I started my business naive in 1999 in my garage, in part time, and then I thought I was doing everything right, man, and making a beautiful rod, better price, great service, high quality, but it just wasn't going anywhere. Man, just I didn't know what the deal was, and so I finally just gave it over to God. Said, God, you know, if you want to be my business partner, you want this thing to succeed. That was around 2003, and that was a prayer. And I promise you, immediately within the same month, things started clicking and happening. And of course, I'd been in the Word and reading and studying and trusting God's plan and His will for my life. And man, He is faithful. He's faithful when you're faithful. And so that's what they can know if they're struggling with something they can't make happen on their own. They got to just turn it over to God, and if it's His will, it'll happen.
I think each year at Christmas time, last 2 years, I've seen a message from you that you've kind of written out and sent out to your team, and it's always been very Christ filled and humble, and kind of just sending out that really positive message, which I think we all need to hear with everything going on with COVID and politics and the world right now. there's some peace in knowing that there's a God we serve, and I know that is a big part of your life and your business, and I appreciate that in you. So thank you for that, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Trey, it has been a pleasure, man. I appreciate you sitting in front of your fire and talking through fishing and life and the business and giving away a couple of reels. This has been fun for me. Thank you. I hope you'll join me again sometime in the future.
Would love to, Brian. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Hey, I'm going to put you in the queue for a minute. If you'll stick around for a second, I want to check in with you when I'm done.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Trey Kistler Rods and Reels, one of our big sponsors here at GRBY, Grassroots Bass Yakking. Some future episodes to consider, guys. I'm not going to give you dates, but I will at some point send out some promos and some teasers about future episodes. But some future episodes, we're going to do an episode where Jim Strunk and Cole Ritter, two of my favorite guys in the world, we're going to do GRBY 101. So any of you newbies, any of you people just tuning in through KBF, maybe you don't know much about what GRBY is, we're going to have an episode in the near future talking about that and give you all the ins and outs of what GRBY, Grassroots Bass Yakking, is. And I want to also, I saw a couple of comments on here. You'll notice that GRBY has a lot of tournaments in Indiana. We have a lot of tournaments in Illinois. We're spreading out throughout the country, and this group is growing, and that's why we're getting more of a bigger audience. But we want to stay grassroots. We want it to be for you guys, average everyday fisherman that goes out in a kayak, and that's what Grubby Talk is all about. But for all fishermen, I hope you tune in and enjoy our show. Other episodes will include Chad Hoover from speaking of KBF is going to join me in a couple of weeks. So we watching for when that episode is going to hit the airwaves. We've got a couple more sponsors here in January and February that will be joining us. On the Water Innovations. Let's see, I'm forgetting right now, but I'll get some promos out and tell you all about these different episodes. We're also going to do a special episode about women in kayak fishing, and I'm really excited about that episode. There's some really neat anglers going to join us for that episode and talk all about that as well. So be listening for all that, y'all. I have fun. I love doing this. I'm looking forward to it every Sunday, and I hope you'll join me again next Sunday for GRBY, Grassroots Bass Yakking, otherwise known as Grubby Talk. Thanks, y'all. Have a good night.